Dear students, welcome. Today we will start with the first lab, which is Introduction to Lab Equipment and Components to be Used. First, let's begin with the objectives of this lecture. There are different equipment to be used in the lab, such as breadboard, digital multimeter also known as DMM, and power supply. You must know how to use these. You must be knowing about the breadboard connection. You must know how to calibrate DMM in order to take a specific measurement correctly, and then you must be able to use the power supply. Moreover, there are different components which would be used in this lab, such as resistors, capacitors, and inductors. So you must know what is resistor, how it looks like, and of what value you are picking for the lab experiment. Similarly, you must be aware of the capacitors and inductors, that how it look like and how its values are taken. Let's move to the DMM, or digital multimeter. This is how a digital meter looks like. It has a digital display on which the reading is displayed. There is a central switch which is rotated in order to take different readings. There are two main leads which are used for connecting the circuit elements with that of DMM. Let's begin how the central switch is moved in order to take different readings. First of all, if resistor is needed to be measured, the central switch must be brought on to the omega sign. If AC voltage is needed to be measured, then it must be on V with a sine wave sign. If it's DC voltage, then it must be with a V with double bar sign. Now, for checking the connectivity of the circuit, that is whether the circuit is correctly connected and properly ground or not, continuity beeper is used. It will produce a beeping sound if the circuit is perfectly connected. Now, if you want to measure the frequency, then here is a sign in hertz. If you want to measure the AC current, then here the switch should be here with a sine wave sign. And if you want to measure the DC current, then it must be right here. You must remember that whenever you are reading a current, then you put this black cable right here into the current terminal. But when you are measuring voltage, frequency, and resistance, then the black lead should right be here. Let's proceed to the power supply. This is how a power supply in a lab look like. It has digital display for current and voltage. Here are the terminals for setting the respective current and voltage. This is the main cable from where source is provided to the power supply, and these two cables are for taking the current or voltage from this power supply to be supplied to the circuit. Let's now study the different components of a power supply. Transformer. The input to the transformer is normally power from an electric outlet. The transformer's main function is to step down or lower the amplitude, or step up or increasing the amplitude of the signal to produce the desired DC level required at the output of the power supply. For example, we are having 240 volts at our main source. We want to step down it to 80 volts. So for this purpose, transformer is used. There are different ratios of the transformer, such as 1:2. If it's 1:2, then it will convert to 40 volts and to 120 volts. Similarly, if it's 120 volts at the source and you want it to convert through the ratio of 1:3, then it will convert or step down the voltage to 40 volts. The next part is rectifier. The signal at the output of the transformer is fed to the rectifier. This device provides a rectified pulsating DC signal. The rectifier can be a half wave or a full wave. A pulsating DC signal is a signal, either of voltage or current, that does not change polarity, but its magnitude is a function of time. Rectifier is basically converting the AC signal into DC. That is, from positive and negative waveform, it is converted only into positive waveform. The next part is filter. The basic purpose of the filter is conversion of the pulsating DC signal into a non-pulsating DC signal. Normally, a simple capacitor is enough for this purpose. The last part is the regulator, which has two functions. The first purpose of regulator is to smooth the signal from the filter, producing a DC signal with no ripple. The second function is to produce a constant voltage at the output. The working of DC power supply can be understood with this diagram. First, we have a source which is fed into the transformer. The transformer with its specific ratio is stepping up or down that signal. Now, this signal from the transformer is fed into a rectifier bridge, which is converting the AC waveform into a DC. You can see that the negative waveform is also converted into a positive one. However, this is a pulsating DC. This pulsating DC is fed into the filter, which is normally a capacitor, which remove the ripples, and the signal is fed into the regulator, which has a smooth and uniform DC voltage. Let's come to the breadboard. This is how a breadboard is. It has different holes, but the holes can be divided into two main categories, at the top and at the bottom. These holes are also known as bus strip, and the holes in the middle of the breadboard, which are known as terminal strip. Now, how are these holes connected together? You can see from the diagram that all the holes in the bus strip are connected in series. They are connected lying to next each other, while the holes in the terminal strips are connected in columns. That is, each hole is connected to its hole beneath, and so on. Let's move to the components which will be used in this lab. First, we will have a look at the resistor. The component which is resisting the flow of charge is known as resistor. The resistors are passive components, which means that they only consume power. This is how a resistor looks like. It has 3, 4 or 5 layers. There is another type of resistor which is known as potentiometer. Potentiometer is actually a variable resistor which resistance can be changed by rotating a knob either in clockwise or an anti-clockwise direction. The potentiometers are available in different shapes and sizes. These are all its shapes and sizes which are normally available in the labs. It has 3 terminals. One is VCC, second is signal, and third is ground. Capacitors. A device used to store an electric charge consisting of one or more pair of conductors separated by insulator is known as capacitor. There are different types of capacitors. This diagram shows certain types of capacitors which are used in the laboratory. Inductors. A component that an electric or electronic circuit which possesses inductance. There are different types of inductors which are readily available in the lab. Here are few examples that you can have a look at and then see whether these are available in the lab or not. So this was all about today's lecture. I believe that you will be able to use the components as well as equipment of the lab now. Thank you so much. See you in the next lecture.